If I only had a few minutes to synthesize everything. DMN, the default mode network, the seat of your stories, of yourself and your life. And then we got the RAS, the reticular activating system, which is the filter. Every moment you're surrounded by infinite streams of data, but your perception can only hold so much, and your RAS is what decides what's going to be in that perception of yours. I'm about to lay out a metaphor that has kind of naturally arose for me as I went on a quest to learn as much as I could about not only these two parts of the brain, but every part of the brain. But one metaphor that I'm about to illuminate right now is primarily outpicturing the interplay of these two. So here we are. This metaphor involves you being in a library, the library of your life, and you are the master librarian. That's you, master librarian. And surrounding you are all these shelves. These shelves contain books and DVDs that you authored and directed. You know, maybe you got a shelf over here dedicated to your time in middle school. And maybe you got a section over here dedicated to that one set of years that was just so growth-filled. Maybe there's a section of your library over here that you prefer to not go close to. We'll call it trauma. Or a section over here, and whatever. You got all these sections. Books that you created, you authored, DVDs that you directed. Some people forget that they're in this library, and that's what it's like being inside of your default mode network, or one way to conceptualize it. But now I'm about to bring in how the filter interacts with this library. Well, in order to illuminate this, let's add a new layer to this library. We're going to add a movie screen. Okay, that's my movie screen on this diagram. And we're going to add you over here. You're going to sit in this reclining chair, okay, and you're going to be relaxing, watching this movie. And a lot of people, they watch the movie of their life, and they forget that they're the ones that put the DVD inside of the player that's right next to them. And here's the thing. Every single moment we've got some kind of DVD in that player of ours. Sometimes we've got bad day in that DVD player. Today I'm having a bad day. What does that even mean? It means that you're choosing to experience the simulation of a bad day. And I'm not really exaggerating. I mean, certainly there's not some government in the sky that's saying that you have to have a bad day. That's you turning on that movie and watching it. And I'm just like kind of entering your library saying, yo, you can watch that movie, but at least be aware that you're the one that put it inside of the DVD player. At least be aware that you've got all these other shelves inside of your library that you're the head librarian of. That's pretty much my sort of thing that I love to illuminate. It's not about never watching the bad day. I mean, sometimes you got to watch the trauma DVDs, sure. Sometimes you got to process it. Sometimes you got to sit with it. But you should probably be aware that you're sitting with it and for how long you're sitting with it for. Because what you watch on that movie screen might sneak its way into what you believe about yourself. Continuously, the stories that you're strengthening and recycling. There could be sections of your library that you didn't even discover yet. There's some people that have been only watching that bad day DVD every single day, not even realizing that there's a possibility to put a different DVD inside of that player. DVDs like growth. Just looking at your whole life through a lens of growth. Because the moment you take that growth story, because here's the thing about the way that the RAS interacts with the DMN. I said earlier that the reticular activating system is the filter that decides what's going to make it into your perception. Well, here's a question. What decides? What's the selection process of the filter? It's the stories. If you tell yourself that life is against me, that nothing works out for me. You're programming your filter to only show you that evidence. You're putting the DVD of Life is Against Me inside of that player and you're watching it. I mean, it's not rocket science. I could prove this right now. I could prove it with a question. I can ask myself a question right now and I can say, why have I failed so many times in life? The moment I ask myself that question, I'm putting the DVD of failure inside of my player and I'm activating all of my contemplation to show me the galleries and slideshows of all the times I've failed. Trust me, there's a lot of scenes in that book. I've lived enough time on the planet for there to be enough evidence of failure. But it would be foolish for me to think that that's the only movie inside of my library. Now I could change up the whole scene by asking myself a different question. Wow, what were all the amazing ways that I've just grown in my life? Totally different question. All of my failures are now just framed as growth. All of my mistakes are now just framed as treasures, nuggets, and I see all the evidence of it instantaneously. It's a completely different movie. But then, that's just all happening in one given moment. What about all 24 hours in the day? What about the 8 waking hours? What movie are you watching? Because what you're watching is entraining your perception. And that's, and what you entrain for a day, you know? What about 3 days, 7 days? What movie are you watching 7 days of the week? On Monday, people put in the Monday DVD. On Friday, people put in the Friday DVD. But it's all just programmed DVDs. There ain't nothing different about Friday and Monday. It's all man-made concepts. Why does it feel so real? Cheers. 2026. I just want to be aware. I just want to be aware of what I've got in my DVD player. And I don't want to get lost in the movie.